Welcome to the Peggy Smedley Show. I'm going to focus on some recent news that I just can't let go without dedicating some time to it. As many of you know, we just spent a month talking about infrastructure. We focused on energy infrastructure, but we really covered the gamut. We wrote about several infrastructure topics on our website, and I talked to several guests here on the show about their perspectives on various infrastructure topics as well. And then recently, infrastructure was thrust back into all of our minds when heavy rains in Lynchburg, Virginia, had a lot of people wondering whether the College Lake Dam would crumble in a moment of need. Thank goodness the dam held and many homes, businesses, and lives were spared. However, in Italy, there was another incident, and this one was deadly. The Morandi Bridge on the main highway collapsed in the Italian port city of Genoa during a storm, and sadly, at least 22 are dead. It seems the numbers just keep climbing. We don't want to worry about our infrastructure doing its job. These infrastructure scares and failures keep happening. We need to know that when something is built, it will last the test of time. After all, we're living in an age when robots can conduct surgeries and cars can drive themselves. Shouldn't our infrastructure reflect the same high-tech nature of this connected world? This is the digital age. It absolutely should, but it doesn't. In the U.S., much of our infrastructure is outdated. You've heard us say this. In some cases, it's in really dire shape. It's lacking any real connectivity. Now, here's the good news. There is some new legislation that aims to change this, in part through the use of advanced infrastructure materials. A handful of senators have introduced the IMAGINE Act. Now, IMAGINE stands for Innovative Materials for America's Growth and Infrastructure Newly Expanded. The IMAGINE Act aims to encourage the research and deployment of innovative construction materials nationwide, more specifically for transportation and water infrastructure projects. Senators Sheldon, Whitehouse, Lamar Alexander, Mike Rounds, and Cory Booker are all spearheading this effort. That's 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans, in case you're counting. In the House, Representatives, if I'm looking right, it's Elizabeth Esty, David Cicilline, and we have Barbara Comstock, and a Republican have also introduced, so it's 2 Democrats, I've got it, and 1 Republican have also introduced companion legislation. Now, these congressmen and congresswomen are bringing forth this legislation. They believe that investing in new infrastructure, building techniques, and materials can help extend the life of critical public works. They are coming up short, this is what I think, in terms of both condition and performance. Now, why do I say this? The bill outlines a handful of goals that would help promote the use of advanced infrastructure materials, but this includes the creation of an interagency task force. Now, this is great because this would examine standards and methods used to assess the federal government's approval of materials for infrastructure projects. Now, the bill also calls for the creation of innovative material hubs across the U.S. Now, that would serve as a local centers for the research and development of innovative materials for in-use infrastructure projects. Now, if you're like me, you're thinking, well, this is great, but what exactly are we talking about when we say innovative materials? And what does this have to do with the Internet of Things, the IoT? I did some research, so you don't have to. The folks behind the IMAGINE Act are particularly interested in the development of materials. Now, some of these materials are, now let me give the list to you, high-performance asphalt mixtures and concrete formulations, geosynthetic materials, advanced alloys and metals, reinforced polymer composites, aggregate materials, and I think the last one they talked about is advanced polymers. Now let's look closely, which I think is most interesting, at fiber-reinforced polymer composites, or FRP composites. Now, FRP composites are a polymer or plastic matrix that combined with a reinforcing material such as glass or carbon, and there are a handful of others. But the use of composite materials have a number of advantages over legacy materials, I guess you'd say like most woods and metals. For instance, one key benefit is strength. Per pound composites are quite strong thanks to their components. Fibers, which carry the load, and I think resins, which distribute the weight. They're also comparatively lightweight, which has a number of benefits, including ease of material, transport, and installation. Composites are also pretty resistant to corrosion that comes from being out in the elements. Finally, composites offer design flexibility and are used in so many applications, including infrastructure. However, there are areas in which FRP composite materials can be improved, and that's where this Imagine Act's research centers will come in. The new bill will not only promote the use of innovative materials like FRP composites, but also new manufacturing methods that can speed up infrastructure projects and extend the life of these critical structures. So now it's up to Congress to decide whether this is worth investing in. I hope they do, because we need to be building infrastructure for the 21st century using materials and technologies developed in the 21st century. Innovators must come up with ways to make our roads, bridges, water systems, and other important infrastructure safer, more resilient, and more cost-effective. And advanced materials aren't the only path to a safer, more resilient infrastructure. As we've discussed in July, IoT technologies are going to play an increasingly important role in modernizing our infrastructure. Now keep in mind, this is whether we're talking about our pipelines or our traffic systems or just about anything else. I believe these advanced materials and new techniques are essential in combination with innovative technologies that allow infrastructure monitoring and proactive maintenance, as well as a constant flow of data that can be analyzed and used to improve the future infrastructure projects. That's so key. In areas like transportation technologies, like autonomous vehicles, are also going to change our infrastructure needs. Advanced building materials may not be enough to enable the next generation of infrastructure so that it supports the next generation of vehicles. We're going to need our traffic control systems as well as our intersections in our vehicles to communicate with each other. We need data to flow to and from all of these elements, and this will require connectivity. If we can accomplish a connected infrastructure, possibly made up of these advanced next-gen materials being promoted in the Imagine bill, it will pay off big time, since a solid infrastructure supports a healthy and growing economy. Federally funded research has the potential to bring together the right stakeholders to reimagine the possibilities. It can also help develop practical technologies that can be deployed in the field. I'm very hopeful that this bill is a step in the right direction. Tell me what you think. And if you want to hear more about this discussion and infrastructure, check out our archived podcast from July 2018. And if you have thoughts and want to join in on this discussion, please send me tweets and continue this discussion at social media at ConnectedWMag or ConstructTechMag. To learn more about this subject, check out our Technology Day on August 23rd in Arlington Heights, Illinois. This is the Peggy Smedley Show, the podcasting voice of IoT and relevant technology. And remember, with great technology comes great responsibility.